And there you have it, the start of your very own ultimate resource for picking what to eat when I get overwhelmed and can't decide. Keep this list handy, and I promise you it will save you so much time and brain power trying to figure out what kind of healthy things to make for next week's meals.
Do you struggle to stay consistent with healthy eating and just want food decisions to be easy, guilt-free, and sustainable? You're in the right place. Hi, I'm Chelsea, nutritionist and fitness coach who overcame restrictive yo-yo dieting and body image insecurities using simple nutrition tools, all backed by biblical principles. And now I help women like you find that same freedom with food so you can feel confident in the look and health of your body for decades to come. I'm ready to dive in with you. So grab that cute notebook you've been hanging on to and let's go.
This podcast is such a breath of fresh air. It's rare to find someone who weaves together faith and nutrition in such an encouraging way. The episodes leave me feeling inspired, aligned with God's design for my body, and more confident in making healthy choices. Every Christian woman needs to hear this. Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time to write this review and for listening to the show. You absolutely hit the nail on the head. Weaving together faith and nutrition is exactly what I feel called to do with this podcast. So let's get to it. Welcome to the show. I have a confession to make. Between my Pinterest board and my Instagram folders, I probably have somewhere around 2,000 recipes saved in my accounts. And how many have I actually tried? Like 12. You see, I love finding new things to try. Super simple dinners that look delicious and are still healthy. But when I go to actually decide what I'm going to make, I overthink it and get totally overwhelmed. Could I make this recipe for the meat, but then swap out the bread for something else? Wait, this one takes 16 hours to slow cook? I do not have that kind of time. This one I know I will like, but I'm not sure my husband will, and I do not want to make a separate meal, nor do I want him to get Jack in the Box again simply because I didn't make him something he likes. Blah, blah, blah. Before I know it, I am eating the exact same thing for the 7th week in a row. In my early days as a nutritionist, I actually put together this booklet of a bunch of recipes I found all over the internet, and I would hand it to my client and basically say, just pick something from this and you'll be fine. But what I found is that even that felt daunting for those of us who are still struggling with consistency. We need something more systematic, a literal framework with step-by-step check boxes. The whole, just tell me exactly what to do and I'll do it. And that's when I came up with this method that I'm about to share with you that I still use to this day. When my nutrition clients join my coaching program, I give them an exhaustive list of foods for each category, so they don't even have to think about it to begin with. Just plug and play the ones you like. Even in my own life, it keeps me from getting stuck in a rut with food, as well as overwhelmed by the bajillion options we have available to us, especially as we are scrolling through social media and the internet, and it's usually accompanied by people's opinions about what your diet should be. Plus, party bonus, this method is 100% customized to you. So let's dive in. You are going to want to grab a notebook for this one because we're actually going to work through this together, and at the end, you will have a resource for the rest of your life. Now, remember when I told you about the diamond meal? If you missed that, stop me here, go back and listen to episode number 6, where I describe it in much more detail. But essentially, that is my trademark formula for how to construct a meal every time you eat. It includes 4 categories: protein, vegetables, starch, and fats. Today, we are going to make a list of foods that we like and will actually eat that fit into each of those categories. But first, I want to begin with this. The book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28 says, "And Jesus said, 'Come to me, all you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest.' I love this verse because, what an invitation. God truly knows that we carry stress and heaviness and overwhelm in this world, but Jesus warmly says, bring it to me. I'll take it, and in exchange, I will give you rest. Talk about the gift we actually want. I literally have this painted on the wall in my kitchen, and I share it with you today so you can write it at the top of your list that we are about to make as a reminder to trade your overwhelm for His peace. Okay, now, starting with protein. How do you know if something is a protein source? My simple rule is that it has to have more grams of protein in it than anything else. So if you look at the nutrition label of, let's say, a chicken breast, you'll find that it likely says somewhere around 35 grams of protein per serving, which in the US is generally about 4 ounces. So 35 grams of protein per serving, while it only has 4 grams of fat per serving and virtually no carbohydrates. This makes chicken breast a high protein source. Now, if you don't have nutrition labels available to you, you can always Google these things. Just type in how many grams of protein in XYZ food per serving, and then immediately followed by how many grams of fat in that food, how many grams of carbs, and you can figure out those numbers. Some of my favorite protein sources include grass-fed beef of all kinds, ground beef, steak cuts, stews, you name it. We like a good cow. I do enjoy chicken, both light and dark cuts. Cottage cheese I eat by the spoonful. I find game meat particularly delightful, and some fish. I did grow up in the Midwest, and fresh seafood was not a thing, so I am still maturing in my palate for aquatic food. But pause me here if you need to. Write down 3 to 5 different proteins that you like and will eat. Once you're done there, do the same thing with vegetables. Now, don't overthink this with rules about what's a fruit versus what's a vegetable. Honestly, anything that just naturally comes to mind as a veggie is likely so. Write down at least 5 vegetables you like and will eat. And I know sometimes these are contingent on how they're prepared, such as roasted versus steamed. If that's the case, write that down too. Some of my favorites include carrots, snap peas, leafy greens, pretty much of every variety. I do like cherry tomatoes. I do not like big tomatoes for whatever reason. Onions, especially if they are red and pickled. I do like mushrooms, jicama. Take a few minutes to brainstorm your favorites. Next is the one that tends to trip people up, carbs, or what I call starches. This one can be tricky because many of us have the idea still embedded in our minds that carbs are bad. So when we learn that something we thought was healthy actually falls into the starch category, we kind of start to feel uneasy and panic. But I'm here to tell you, carbs are not inherently bad or unhealthy. The poison is in the dose. So really, we just need to put boundaries on the sheer amount of carbs we consume. That's all. For simplicity's sake, I consider starches anything that has more carbohydrates in it than it does protein or fat. And if it's also a vegetable like potato, I include it as a starch if it has 5 grams of carbs or more per serving, which again, may take some Googling to figure out, but do that once for the sake of your list and then never worry about it again. Some examples of my favorite starches include watermelon. I could honestly eat a whole watermelon by myself in a single sitting. I don't recommend that though because you'll probably have the runs later. Peaches, mangoes, grapes, sweet potatoes. Ooh, do I love a good sweet potato. Red potatoes, farro, that's probably my favorite grain. I am in the sourdough world. I do make my own. I also like oatmeal, butternut squash. Now, don't get hung up on this. Anything you normally think of as a carb probably is. And generally speaking, I just find it easiest to include fruit and winter squash. That really comes down to a blood sugar thing, which is another sermon for another day. But for now, just take a few minutes to jot down 3 to 5 of your favorite carb sources. And finally, fats. Again, healthy fats have more grams of fat per serving than any other macronutrient. Some common ones of these include nuts, seeds, oils, butter, animal skins, creams, and some of my favorites include cashews, pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are great for seed cycling and menstrual health. Grass-fed tallow, peanut butter, extra virgin olive oil. Again, write yours down. I do need to make a note here. These lists can be subject to change. As you continue in your health journey, it's inevitable your palate will evolve. Things can always be added or amended. I mean, when I first started, I did not know what jicama was. I had never even heard of it. But having a solid foundation with 3 to 5 in each category to start with can help move you forward miles on this journey. All right, now that you have your lists, we need to do a quick audit to make sure everything on the list is a real food. And again, we defined that in episode 6 as if it once walked, flew, swam, or grew, it's real. Here's another simple way of thinking about it. Ask yourself, are all of these single ingredient foods? Like pizza should not be on there because that is a collection of multiple ingredients. Now, here's the fun part. As you're deciding what to prepare for your meals, take out your lists and choose at least one from each category to formulate a diamond meal. As an example from my lists, let's say this week I am feeling like I want crispy chicken thighs. So I'll make chicken thighs my protein. I'll move to the next list for my veggies. Let's say I'm not feeling like I want to cook veggies or chop them. So let's go with snap peas. That's a delightful crunch. I don't have to do anything to them. Easy peasy. No pun intended. Then to my next list for starches. I think I'll roast some red potatoes. That just sounds good with chicken thighs. I think they go well together. And then for my fat source, I'm going to cook my chicken and probably toss my potatoes in my grass-fed tallow. And that's my fat. Bada bing, bada boom, I have myself a diamond meal. I checked all the boxes, and instead of scrolling through my 2,000 saved recipes, I have my entire grocery list for a week's worth of dinners in under 30 seconds. Now, if there are parts of this meal that I'm not totally sure how to prepare, I can easily Google or ask AI questions like how to roast red potatoes in the oven. And it will give me details such as time and temperature, the things that I'm not sure of. But that is so much simpler than following a link trail through blogs with pop-ups that freeze my phone just to figure out what to make for dinner. And there you have it, the start of your very own ultimate resource for picking what to eat when I get overwhelmed and can't decide. Keep this list handy, and I promise you it will save you so much time and brain power trying to figure out what kind of healthy things to make for next week's meals. This will also save you dollars in the grocery store so you're not just impulse buying things hoping that you will figure it out later in the week. Like I mentioned earlier, when you join The Sustainable Way, my one-on-one nutrition coaching program, I actually give you pretty exhaustive lists of food in each of these categories so you can just plug and play to make your super nutritious, satiating, easy diamond meals in less than 5 minutes. And I even work with you to modify the list to fit your preferences while also ensuring that they stay Bible-based. Head to coachrain.com/nutrition coaching to chat with me and learn more so you never feel overwhelmed by food and meal planning ever again.
I pray this episode was helpful to you, my friend. If so, could you do me a massive favor and take 30 seconds to write a review? This is the best way to bless me big and help more people learn just how simple eating healthy consistently can be. And if you want more value-packed info from me, head to coachrain.com and sign up for the Weekly Harvest, my weekly emails filled with recipes, how to use food as medicine, biblical nutrition, and more. That's CoachReign.com for the weekly harvest. Blessings until next time, sis. Toodles.